Why does this career called systemic psychology?
Well, around the 1960s, there was a biologist that is called Fly, that she threw an idea to the world saying that we all belong to a system. We, the humans, also belong to a system. Not only the plants or animals belong to a system and a subsystem. She told us that we people belong to a system, and that system to another system and another system, and finally we are all together in a big system. We belong to a bigger system that is called universe. And I have a picture here. This is me or you, and this is my father and my mother, and my father has his father and his mother, and they belong to a system, and they belong to my grandparents belong to a system, and his system and her system, and so on and so on. So I have in my essence many systems, like his, her, her, his, her, all these systems in me. And the most important message in the psychologist and the systemic psychologist is that anything that I do affects any one of the system. If they live or even if they don't live anymore. So if I do something, it affects to my husband, my kids, and so on and so on in the future, or any generations back also. If I do something different, affects to my mother, to my father, to my grandpa. So that's why it's called systemic.
And why and why the resonance take part in this job?
That when I do something and affect to others, that is called resonance. Like resounds. In Mexico we call resonancia, like sound and resound and resound. And it's like throwing a stone in the middle of the water and goes like this, the wave, the ondas. How do you say? I don't know. The waves, and they expand, and they get, if I do something here, affects
The whole system.
the whole system, and that we call in Mexico resonancia or
Resonance.
resonance in English. That's resonancia.
Is there any relation with being conscient or inconscient?
Yes, of course. In this psychology, this kind of therapy, we think that it's very important the part of the unconscious part, because what I can see is just a little bit of what I really am. So I have a sketch here with the boat and the famous iceberg that we call famous in psychology. And suppose that I am this boat, and that's my vehicle. I am in the boat, and I go, look, I can see only this, but I cannot see this part here. And this part comes from all the stories that I have from the system that I belong. All the systems that I belong. My fathers, my mothers, my grandpas, moms. And I have, in my information, in my cells, I have all that information that I don't know. And what we do here is trying to be more conscious. And things take a different place when I am more awake, when not being asleep or being blind, but to see a different. It's like an open view and see more deeper that why I go like this in life. Why? Because I have information of all of these guys here that belong to my system.
This job takes something weight about DNA.
Of course. I get all that information in my own conscience here in the DNA. And before we thought that DNA was giving us only the physical things like my eyes, my color, the color of my hair, or my voice, or things like that. But now we know that on DNA, that DNA says all this information that they have lived before, and in this DNA, I have that information of this history and the stories of each of these persons in my system. So the science that studies this is called epigenetics. That's a special science that studies that emotional things also are in the DNA and in all my cells. Suppose that my father, for example, my father was at war, at Second World War in Italy, and sometimes I feel like fear of special noises that makes me feel like sad and scared. And I have the information of the bombs of the Second World War. And also the other generation and other generations. So we are our history, we are our parents, we are our grandparents, we are all of them with his history and stories.
Thanks, we thank you all this information. We thank you, Tere, and we thank Saskun to give us the opportunity to be here. And see you soon.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.